The cracks within the Labour Party are no longer minor. They have widened into deep, undeniable fractures, with Keir Starmer at the centre of the chaos. His leadership is not just weak, it's collapsing under the weight of his own failures. This is no longer about political maneuvering, it's about a complete loss of credibility, competence, and trust. Starmer's own MPs can barely conceal their frustration, while the public is left to suffer the consequences of his disastrous decisions. Just look at the NHS crisis, a £22 billion black hole, record high waiting lists, and an exhausted healthcare workforce pushed to the brink. This isn't just a challenge, it's a humanitarian disaster. And yet, what does Starmer do? He stands by, acting as if he's shocked, pretending this isn't the result of his own government's policies. His fingerprints are all over this catastrophe, yet he continues to recycle the same tired excuses. Patients are dying in overcrowded hospital hallways, surgeries are being cancelled, and medical staff are quitting in record numbers. And Starmer? He points fingers at everyone but himself, as if the NHS crisis just magically appeared out of nowhere. This is his failure, plain and simple. And then, there's immigration, another glaring example of his incompetence. Net migration has skyrocketed to nearly 1 million, a number that Starmer himself openly supported. But now, facing public outrage, he's scrambling to deflect blame. It's the same cycle: big promises, disastrous results, and zero accountability. The British public is waking up. They see the chaos, the deception, and the arrogance of a leader more focused on saving face than actually solving problems. Yesterday's parliamentary showdown was a defining moment, a brutal takedown of Starmer's failures. Conservative MP Kemi Badenoch delivered a devastating critique of his decision to slash winter fuel payments, leaving millions of pensioners facing a freezing winter with no financial support. Badenoch didn't hold back, calling the cuts not just heartless but downright dangerous. She accused Starmer of betraying the very people he once promised to protect, and the facts back her up. Energy bills are soaring, inflation is spiraling, and the most vulnerable are being abandoned. Starmer's response: a weak, recycled excuse about inheriting problems, so feeble that it was met with boos, jeers, and even laughter from across the Commons. Even Labour MPs couldn't hide their discomfort, some cringing, others looking outright embarrassed. This wasn't just a bad day for Starmer, this was a public dismantling of his leadership. Badenoch wasn't done yet. She hammered him further, pointing to charities like Marie Curie, which warned that Labour's budget cuts would devastate services for terminally ill patients. Starmer sat silent, offering no defense, just a blank stare, as his leadership unraveled before the nation. And now, the Labour rebellion is impossible to ignore. Over 50 Labour MPs have defied him on key votes, and some have resigned in disgust. Farmers, charities, and community leaders are publicly speaking out, accusing Starmer of breaking election promises. Even moderates within his party, once his biggest supporters, are turning against him. One Labour MP, representing a rural constituency hit hard by tax hikes, gave a powerful speech in Parliament, saying, "I am no rebel, but I will not stand by and watch my constituents suffer because of this government's arrogance." Her words echo the anger of millions, people who believed in Starmer's promises but now feel utterly betrayed. Starmer's failure to unite his own party is an undeniable weakness, one that's eroding Labour's credibility at a time when they should be gaining momentum. Every act of rebellion chips away at his authority. How can a man who can't even command his own party expect to lead the nation? And now, reports are emerging that Starmer's team is so terrified of losing the next election that they are considering delaying it, a desperate, unprecedented move that reeks of fear and cowardice. Even his excuse about inheriting a £22 billion black hole is wearing thin. How long can he keep blaming the previous government before people start demanding answers about what he is actually doing? The public is tired of excuses. They want solutions, and Starmer has none. Pensioners are freezing. Charities are collapsing. Public services are crumbling. And Starmer is standing there, dodging blame and offering empty promises that no one believes anymore. Kemi Badenoch's final words hit harder than anything Starmer could muster. People are suffering because of his choices. The economy is shrinking, inflation is rising, and jobs are being lost because of his government's incompetence. Pensioners can't heat their homes. Charities can't stay open. And yet, he still refuses to take responsibility. The room fell silent. Starmer tried to respond, but it was too late. The damage was done. This wasn't just another bad day in Parliament. This was a clear, undeniable sign that Starmer has lost the trust of both his party and the public. His promises have been exposed as hollow. His inability to deliver is painfully obvious. How much longer can Labour survive under a leader who cannot lead? Starmer once promised to rebuild the nation, but now, it's clear he can't even hold his own party together. This isn't leadership. This is failure on a monumental scale, and it's the British public who are paying the price. This version keeps the strong, impactful tone while making it more engaging and structured. Let me know if you'd like any further refinements. Rocket.